the OCP Critical Facilities Operations Framework. This webinar will walk through the process of team and suppliers management. We will start with the process overview, discuss some lessons learned by leveraging customer experiences, and end with some final notes that you can take along when working with this process. The team and suppliers management is part of the site management function of the OCP CFOPS delivery model. And this delivery model and framework is free to use and to modify to fit your own organization. There is a separate webinar explaining where to find it and how to download it. When looking at the team and suppliers management process, we can see that it's split into two different parts. The first one is to plan and schedule resources, and the main resource groups are the site management function, which actually is an off-site function which plans, orders work, and then follows up or validates that they are performed as expected, and then approves it. And the other one is the on-site services. Many of the services ordered and validated by the site management function are on-site services, but there are of course also off-site services, for example business development or risk management. And the third one are other stakeholders. These are stakeholders that are critical for the site operations to work well, and it may not always be possible to actually schedule them, but you can plan for them as a site management function. One example is the fire prevention services that are typically wants to have an annual review of sites to check the regulatory fulfillment. Another one is that across the European Union there is a common regulatory requirement for the power distribution to be audited by independent experts every 10 years, and they provide a report that then is shared with the relevant authorities. So these kind of other stakeholders need to be planned for and give room for, even though you might not be able to schedule them exactly. But apart from that, you have the site management function and the on-site services. That is the majority of these plans and schedules to be controlled. One example of this is when we interview the primary site manager for a Nordic co-location site. So at this co-location site, there were many end user organizations having their IT equipment hosted there, and this company provides that data center that is shared between these customers. And what the primary site manager sees as an important aspect of the role is to ensure that the annual planner is always up to date. It isn't just planned once a year and that's it. It's actually reviewed every month together with the suppliers. That is to make sure that the different planned works do not interfere with each other and they do not block the end customers from gaining access to the site. Because in reality, even if you plan everything perfectly for the year to come, reality kicks in and some work will be delayed or deferred. We have to put it early. We have to throw in an upgrade project in between, or well, simply reprioritize. And that means that you on a monthly basis review these schedules to make sure that everyone are aligned. And the planner that this site manager uses covers both off-site and on-site works to fit the customer needs as well as the service providers need. But at the same time, it also leaves room for external audits, for example, and compliance checks, because these end user organizations, they often have their own security auditors or quality auditors coming to perform work on site to make sure that everything meets their expectations. And that of course needs to be part of the planner. So even if you can't schedule it as a primary site manager, you need to be prepared that those things will show up and to be planned. The other part is the staff register. The staff register is to make sure that anyone gaining access to the site has the right qualifications, has the relevant security clearance as an individual, and if required, has the right site-specific training. At the same time, there may also be requirements for both qualifications and security clearance and even site-specific training before someone can do off-site work. If you are to share sensitive drawings or other information or data around the site to someone, they may be required to be security cleared and have the right qualifications before you do that. So this is very important as well, to make sure that the individuals working with and around the site actually fulfill the expectations and are the right people. And here we can see a customer that has a high security critical facility. In this case, it's the financial sector, and they have strict rules for who can be authorized to gain access to the site. And the requirements include site-specific training and background checks for each individual. So to gain access to some technical areas, you also have to have additional qualifications. For example, if you want access to the UPS and battery room or the power distribution technical areas, you perhaps should be licensed in electrical works. And the staff register that is used for this high security facility is actually reviewed and updated by the site owner on a monthly basis. And I remember when the site was built, after the first 7 or 8 months, there were about 400 people, or more than 400 people, that were on the list for approved access. And that was correct, because there was a lot of moves, adds and changes as the site was new and they moved in the IT equipment from the old site moving into the new one. But after these initial 8 months, it started to slow down a bit, and then the access list was continuously worked through and sort of challenging. Does this person really need access to this site going forward, or could this be someone that gains access by being escorted for the few times? And that means that after 3 years, we're down to about 200 plus people that have access to this site. And so that's a good and active way of how the staff registry is used to make sure that only the authorized staff gains access or gains the right to work with the site information. Some final notes then. Having recurring review meetings with the different stakeholders are important to ensure properly working schedules. Because reality is planned works will be deferred or need to be rescheduled because something else gets a higher priority or happens. And don't forget that within the European Union, staff registers need to be GDPR compliant. And to make it simple for you, ensure GDPR compliance when handling personal data, and you will not break any rules around the globe. There might be some specific local national laws on government access to records, especially in Asia, but otherwise across Europe and North and South America, GDPR compliance works very well. Hoping you will join us for other webinars on the processes in the framework.